Well, Apple is planning to use $100 billion of its cash pile to buy back shares. It's far from the only company to do that. The Republican tax plan was supposed to prompt companies to invest in workers and equipment. But a prominent member of President Trump's party says too many companies are using the cash to reward shareholders instead. Senator Marco Rubio says there's no evidence that workers have benefited. Numbers from the Commerce Department show business investment has not picked up since the tax cuts came into effect. So-called non-residential fixed investment grew at a rate of 6.1%, still healthy, but lower than in previous quarters. Stephen Moore helped design the tax plan. He served as an economic advisor to the Trump campaign. Stephen, great to have you on. Let me guess, you're saying it's too early to judge.
Oh, no, it's not too early to judge. I mean, this tax cut, I saw the president 2 weeks ago, and we were just marveling at the amazing impact this tax cut has already had, way ahead of schedule. I mean, we've seen now the latest numbers, about 5.5 million workers have gotten bonuses and pay raises, so it certainly poured down on middle-class workers. We now have 14 states.
Aren't those isolated? Aren't those isolated incidents? I mean, obviously anybody would love a cash bonus, but from the larger scheme of things, you're not seeing wages overall going up the way that this administration had promised it would. Incremental at best.
Well, look, I mean, the tax cut's only 4 months old. So, I mean, you know, but we have seen 5 million workers who have more money in their pocket today just as a result of bonuses, not even including the tax cut. We also have now 14 states. This is an amazing statistic. 14 states have the lowest unemployment rate that they've ever had since in recorded history, which is amazing. So we've got the economy booming. We got the hottest jobs market we've had probably in 30 years. We now have 6 million more jobs in the United States than we have people to fill the jobs. We have manufacturing. A report just came out last week that 90% of manufacturers are confident in the future and talking about expanding their operations. That's up from about less than half during the Obama years. So almost every indicator is very positive. We're back on a 3% growth path. And you mentioned the most important thing, which was really the key to the tax bill, which is getting investment up. And we've seen, you know, big increases in what we call CapEx, business spending on non-residential equipment, facilities, warehouses, and I believe that's the best barometer of where the economy is headed.
So why wasn't the tax bill just sold that way? I mean, you had Democrats saying that the tax bill would benefit the rich, the companies would reinvest in share buybacks. And that does seem to be some of the headlines that we're seeing from Apple just moments ago as well. And I want to play for you this now infamous video from the Wall Street Journal where Gary Cohn, when he was the economic advisor, asked CEOs what they would do with that money and was a bit surprised by their response.
If the tax reform bill goes through, do you plan to increase investment? Your company's investment, capital investment, just a show of hands, the tax reform goes through? Okay.
Why aren't the other hands up?
Why aren't the other hands up?
Why not just sell it that way? Was that a mistake? I mean, the economy is doing very well, but did you oversell something to the point where now investors and soon-to-be voters say, listen, it didn't turn out the way the president had promised it would?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think we undersold it. I mean, I just rattled off these statistics about how strong the economy is. I mean, my goodness, there was a big article in the New York Times this weekend talking about how the American economy is growing so rapidly. There's such a demand for workers that the economy is overheating. We just got a report out, you know, the GDP reports suggest that wages are rising faster than any time in 6 years. I mean, show me any negative thing about this tax cut. Now, are some businesses using this money to pay out dividends to their shareholders? Sure. But we have 100 million Americans who own stock in this country. That's a great thing. It means that they will have more money in their pockets that they can use for other things or invest in other companies. So, I mean, I would challenge anyone to show me anything that's not working about the tax bill so far in terms of the strength of the overall U.S. economy.
Yeah, and you have economists like Paul Krugman saying that that money should have been used for infrastructure spending. You have Rubio, Senator Rubio, as we mentioned earlier, and the crawl right now saying tax cuts are helping shareholders, not workers. Are you concerned at all that that's what voters are going to have in mind when they go to the polls in November?
Well, sure. I think elections are always about the economy, and I think Trump has a strong case to make that the economy, the economy was growing at 1.6% growth rate under Obama in his last year. The last 4 quarters, the economy has grown just a little less than 3%. That's almost a doubling of the pace of growth. I think Trump has a very positive case to make, but I think Republicans need to do a better case of making it. And by the way, Paul Krugman is also the economist who said the day after the election that Donald Trump would crash the stock market. We've seen about a 35% increase in stocks since Trump was elected. So I don't know that Paul Krugman is the best person to ask for investment advice.
Well, we will have him on the show tomorrow. He's actually booked, so maybe we will ask him that question specifically.
Ask him, yeah. I want to be on with him.
Okay, my bookers will call you. Stephen Moore, thanks.
You got it.
Great to see you.